Hi, everybody. I'm Tiffany from A Time Rich Family. I am 9 days away from a one-way flight for our family of five to head to France. We are traveling to 25 countries in 2025, sharing it all here. And what I didn't realize when we booked this world cruise last year was how many administrative tasks that were ahead of us in order to prepare. So, in order to hopefully save someone else's time and life in the future, I am creating this video to help other families in the future. Uh, I worked really hard on this list and have checked most of the boxes. And so I hope this provides some help to you in the future. I want to see other people doing these traveling shenanigans. Okay, so the first thing we did was update our will and power of attorney. And that seems a little bit morbid, but Mark and I, have a military background. And so we already had a will in place. We were just updating it, making sure our beneficiaries were updated. You know, we have had experience in the past with death in our family and also in dealing with it in our careers. And so Mark, for example, when we lived in Colorado, he um, handled retirement accounts. Well, what would happen is the person who owned the retirement account would die, and his or her spouse would call in and say, "Hey, my spouse died. I'm calling to figure out what to do with the retirement account." And it will have been a new spouse that is calling. And Mark would say, "Oh, you are not the beneficiary of this account." And what happened often, actually, was that the person had divorced and remarried and never updated their beneficiary information. And it was always messy, it was always stupid. We always remember it. And so, when we had each of our girls, our daughters, we would go update the will, make sure that all three of them, were beneficiaries. And so we're pretty sensitive to that. So anyways, everything is updated. We actually met with a local lawyer here in our hometown in Indiana. She reviewed everything and asked us some pretty tough questions, honestly, but it took less than an hour. And then she said, actually, it was pretty buttoned up, but she kept a copy of it at her office. And then, if something were to ever happen to us, now my family has a place outside of like this like weird safe, in our house to find our will. They can just go straight to the lawyer that helped review it, and then they can take care of it from there. So that was a really fun not fun. That was a really good way for us to just be a little more buttoned up on our will and estate plan. So then with the power of attorney, we're going to be overseas traveling internationally for 6 months. And so because of that, my mom is actually going to be our power of attorney while we are gone. So if anything needs to happen while we're gone with our bank accounts or anything like that, my mom is going to be able to sign on our behalf. And we don't anticipate much need for that, but you never know. Mark will probably buy some crazy building or something while we're gone and make my mom sign for it. So who knows? We don't anticipate having to need that, but we're glad that we have it in place. The next step for us was to review and adjust our insurance policies. And can I just go on record as saying I hate insurance so much? I just want to punch it in the face. That said, we went through all of it. So we got homeowners and renters insurance. We looked at all of that stuff. We looked at what our options were for suspending or reducing coverage while we were away. We looked at our auto insurance. We're looking at temporarily suspending that while we're gone. We actually just realized last weekend that we needed to ask my parents if we could leave our van at their house for the 4 months we're on this cruise. And they were like, yeah, what was your other plan? And we said, oh, we didn't have one. We hadn't gotten to that point yet. We checked on health insurance and travel insurance. So we actually were able to get a policy in place, and I'll put more about that in the description of this video. But I did a lot, like a ton of research on health and travel insurance because our Indiana health insurance will not apply if we are in South Africa or Australia, New Zealand, Italy, etc. So we do have a doctor on the ship. I hope that we never have to use the doctor, but if we do, or if something happens in one of the countries that we're visiting, we have health coverage. Another thing that's been a little bit tough was budgeting, and I suck at budgeting, but just looking at our accounts, looking at our cash, and seeing which bank accounts need to have cash transferred to them, making sure we have stuff covered while we are away. And then now we are in the process of the banking and finance side, where we're informing our banks, our credit card companies, all that stuff of the travel plans, so that we don't have like weird holds or fraud alerts when we are literally in 25 countries next year. We met with our accountant recently and asked him what we're doing as a result of our extended absence. He's going to file an extension for us so that we really don't have to worry about it until we get back. I was super nervous about like having to find documents and even communicate back and forth just because I just don't know how this is going to go. And so there was a lot of peace that came from him just saying, nope, we'll handle it when you get back. See you soon. Have a great trip. And then just a note to like review any legal documents you have, like such as contracts or leases. So for us, we have rental properties, but they're all set up or managed by a local property manager here in Indiana. And so, many of our tenants are aware that we'll be traveling, but they also are aware that like if something happens to a water heater, they don't call us, and they don't do that when we're local anyways. So they're all fantastic, and they know to work with that property manager. We made sure that all of our passports are valid and up to date, and they're not going to expire soon. Last year for Christmas, this time last year, we went to Costa Rica and cut it pretty close with our oldest daughter's passport. And then, so she has a brand new passport from all of those shenanigans last year. But I have checked our passports probably 10 times since we did this, because I just want to make sure we are all good to go. I've been researching any visa requirements that are required for each of the countries that we're visiting. Right now, it looks like really as US citizens, we really just need a visa for Australia and New Zealand. It seems like that's a pretty seamless process because we're visiting so many of the countries via a cruise line. There's a lot of that administrative stuff that's taken care of by the cruise. I was able to join a Facebook group of the people who are going to be on our world cruise, which has actually been really, really helpful. So people are asking questions like about kids club and dining, and also about like vaccines and visa requirements, all of that stuff. So like all of these like weird questions you have, I've been able to at least search that group and see if it's already been asked or answered. I've also been able to connect with a couple other people who are going to be on the cruise, so that has been nice, and I'm excited to meet them in real life. It just shows like the power of social media, of just an online presence and really putting yourself out there. I've been really, really thankful for that Facebook group. Yeah, so let's talk about healthcare too. So we, all did our just annual physicals with our physician here in Indiana before we left. We made sure everyone's up to date on shots. As part of their girls' Christmas present this year, we got them the yellow fever vaccine just because we're going to be traveling all over South America and Africa, and it's good for life. So we are, Mark and I already had it from previous travels, and so our daughters are good to go on that. They weren't super impressed with that being a part of their Christmas, but maybe they'll be happy when we're traveling to so many cool places. And can I just say that's like totally on brand for our family to get yellow fever vaccine for a Christmas present. We're also bringing like a well-stocked first aid kit. So I'll do a video on that separately, but just to talk about what specifically we're packing. But, for kids, I'm bringing a lot of like chewable Tylenol and Pepto-Bismol. We just got some seasick, like motion sickness medicine on Amazon. And, you can probably tell right now I have allergy stuff going on. I'm like, I feel miserable, frankly. And so, because of that, like I need to bring like sinus pressure and pain medicine and allergy medicine, all of that stuff. So as far as home security, you could consider hiring a house sitter or using a security system to monitor your home. We have Ring security cameras on our personal home. We have Ecobee, like smart thermostats at our personal home and at our large commercial properties. And so we can monitor those things from afar. We're actually also listing our personal home as a furnished rental. So that has been a whole other adventure in itself. Imagine having to go through every freaking cabinet and drawer in your house and getting it kind of like Airbnb ready. It has been intense, guys, and like it should totally be an Olympic sport. But we are close. We practically live in an Airbnb now, and I'd love to be able to rent it while we're gone, just earn some extra income from that house. To be continued on that. We did just put a Ford on our mail, and that actually has been very annoying because the post office told us it could take up to 2 weeks. So we thought we were being proactive and like crushing it by putting, this Ford in 2 weeks early. And then, Christmas happened, and all of these packages that we thought were going to come to our house have been like forwarded into like this weird purgatory. And good on the post office because it took them like a hot 48 hours to get that forward done, but it was just significantly quicker than we anticipated and has actually caused a little bit of a pain point this past week. We don't have any subscriptions, but if you were leaving for an extended period of time, you'd want to consider temporarily suspending any of those like newspaper or magazine deliveries, anything like that. As far as utilities, we're keeping all of ours on. There's nothing really for us to do. We're not like reducing the utility service or anything like that. And then we do, like I said, have that smart thermostat where we can adjust the temperatures and really regulate everything from afar. Something very stupid is that when we booked this world cruise, we kind of forgot that we had a cat because we're dumb. And so I'm so thankful my mother-in-law is actually house or like pet sitting our cat while we're away. When we booked the cruise, we called her and we're like, oh my gosh, we did it. We found a cruise. We booked it. And she said, oh my gosh, that's so exciting. What are you doing with your cat? And we were like, oh my gosh, we kind of forgot about the cat. And you could almost like hear her roll her eyes on the phone. And she was like, okay, sell your houseplants, I'll take the cat. And so that's what we did. All of my sweet houseplants are all gone. They've all gone to loving homes. And now our sweet 10-year-old cat is going to my mother-in-law for the next few months. So those are all the administrative tasks we've done to prepare us for this cruise. If I missed anything, please let me know. I can be taught. So I want to make sure we've done everything we can to make this as awesome as possible. All right, until next time, happy travels and happy learning.